You already know what it is, man. It's the T Paris, aka the Young Marvin Gaye. This rap shit, most original, most creative, most in tune with the times. And I'm sort of like your inspiration. And this is P's Perspective, the recap. Let's not waste no time. Let's get right into it. This week our topic discussion was emasculation of black men. You know, just my opinion that black men get the short end of the stick. In society and the media, you know, we often get portrayed in images that just don't reflect the way that we really are within our community, within our households, within our environment. I put a couple pictures up on the internet. I put some videos up there, and I just wanted to pretty much get the dialogue from the people and see what they had to say. I first want to let y'all know we just had way too many comments to give everybody a shout out on this episode, but I do want to thank everybody for tuning in, everybody who shared their insight, they shared their opinion, they let me know what they felt. Just a little bit to let you know what we really got in discussion about was just this movie that was coming out with Kevin Hart, in which he was braiding this man's hair. I think the movie is called Hard. And just the perception of the poster that was put out there, him braiding a man's hair, black man braiding a white man's hair, black man teaching a white man to be a criminal, the message that it sends, and just how we as people of color, you know, feel about this. It's my opinion that I want to say it was kind of balanced. It was up in the air. Some people felt like it was, you know, just a piece of comedy, wasn't nothing to get all bent out of shape about. But other people, you know, took it a little step further and felt that just as a person of color, it just was very disrespectful. And it's not a positive image of black men. I thought it was dope just to talk about it because as a black man myself, I tend to think that we don't have too many powerful images of ourselves within the media, within our community, and also just on television. You know, television raising a lot of our kids because a lot of parents aren't being there doing what they got to do. And so if television or the school or maybe some other type of mentor is in charge of, you know, raising your kids and helping you to raise your family, I just personally think that it's very important that these images are positive ones, and that images that we can reinforce through other positive, you know, channels, outlook within our lives, our upbringing. You know, to see a black man braiding another man's hair, I think that almost gives off the impression that that's cool. But within our community, you know, a man braiding another man's hair is seen as taboo. You know, I got braids, and I definitely not letting a man braid my hair. So for me to see that, it didn't make me feel comfortable. It didn't make me feel like that's the way of the world. It didn't make me feel like that's something I'm looking forward to. And when I speak out about it, you know, it bothers me to hear other people say, "Oh, that's just comedy. Like, how could you take offense to that?" Well, I think that if you seen a white man braiding another white man's hair, and you see how they felt about it, how they speak out about it, then I think that you understand where I'm coming from. It is my opinion that when we watch shows of people that are of color, a lot of times you see a vast variety of the social structure. You know, sometimes they getting a lot of money, sometimes they not, sometimes they piss poor. You know, but in all of these situations, it's something that we could relate to. A lot of times when they're getting a lot of money, it's drug dealing, robbing, stealing, something of that nature. A lot of times when they don't have a lot of money, they're showing them broken down, you know. And I think that that's something that we do relate to, but I think that they could also show images of people of color doing well, you know, being successful and not being drug dealing and things of that nature. When you see white people on TV and they, you know, living well, you know, they open heart surgeons and lawyers and doctors and things like that. They're not, you know, selling dope and stuff like that. And even if it was a TV show with a white person selling dope, I think Breaking Bad, they always find a way to put a twist on it to make it interesting and not, you know, belittle the people of color. During our discussion, what I also found interesting is that a lot of people didn't really take offense to some of the images in a way where they would speak out about it. It was almost like when you asked them how they feel, they said, "Yeah, I don't know, I don't like that. That might not be that great," but then the discussion stops there. I think that we have to take this even further. Like, this has to be something that we focus on in everyday conversation at the dinner table, at work when you're passing to get the water fountain, passing the water fountain, you're going to get a meal. Like, these are things that we have to talk about, how they affect us, how they make us feel. Just as a man of color, I feel like my voice, my opportunity, just my support, it diminishes every day out here in the world. And it doesn't help that when you turn on the news or you turn on the television or, you turn on the radio, they just help to perpetuate, these stereotypes about black men. And I want to share that I was getting comments, from some people who are Caucasian or just from different nationality or culture than we are. And I found it interesting that, some of them really agreed with what I said. I want to read a comment that I got from somebody. And he's overseas, if I'm not mistaken. He's coming from Ireland. And he said, in my belief, all men are being emasculated in this agenda. Now, that was the first time we made the video. Like I said, this was a 2-week topic. And then I expressed to him that I agree. All men are being emasculated. But it's my opinion that if I say, let's focus on men being emasculated, then we give off the impression that all men are created equal. And I don't agree with that. I think that men of color are definitely not treated like Caucasian men. But he went on to say more. He says, so much that I want to say. I could write an essay in response to so many of the ideas, topics in this video, and so many of the issues are due to the fact that people that run this world, he said, I say run the world, not rule the world, are white racists. For me, though, the white Jesus offends me most as a white person. Not that I'm a Christian believer or do I follow any religion, but living in Ireland and being indoctrinated in it as a child till my teens and attending Christian brother schools, it was in my face for a long time. Brainwashing on mass scale is what the church did for my country. Now, I'm going to leave it right there. This is a person coming from Ireland, not a person of color. And he basically agreeing with what I'm saying and just expressing how, society has put certain images and certain ideologies out there, and they expect us to believe them and just run with them. I'm looking for people to start to challenge some of these things and start to stand up for what we believe in and speak out for, some of these young men that do want to see change and they do want to see uprising in people of color, within their community, just all over the world, man. It's like, for me to sit here and have these discussions and these debates, it makes me feel great when people chime in and get involved. And the part that I don't like is when, people try to condemn me and make it seem as if what I'm saying is not necessary, or that I'm trying to stir up something that is probably not even important to other people. When in fact I really disagree. I think that sometimes people just lack the confidence to start some of these type of discussions and just keep them going. As people of color, man, we gotta know that we just as important as everybody else on the face of this earth, man. We're responsible for so much. And I think, society fears to see a black man in charge, focused, knowing what he want to do, having a plan, and just sticking to that plan. Like I said in one of my last videos, if you were to see 10 men, standing on the street corner in hoodies, it wouldn't even take you that long to come to the conclusion, that they from the inner city, they gangsters, they live in that life almost automatically. But if you were to see 10 black men in business suits all dressed up sharp, I don't think the world will really be ready for that. And it's not because these 10 men, gonna go out and do something that's so far-fetched. I just think it's unknown to society what's up here in their minds, When you look nice, you feel nice, And sometimes I think that's part of what's going on out here in the world, is that because we don't have, some of the things that the world deems, gifts of people who are successful, the nice clothes, the cars, the house, and things like that. We don't see ourselves as equals. But I want to reassure you, you strip everybody of all of that material stuff and we all the same. We just don't get treated the same. And the reason why we don't get treated the same is because we as people don't stand up. We as people of color don't stand up for ourselves, man. Like I said, I wanted to do this one a little bit different. Instead of giving a bunch of shout-outs, I just wanted to make a challenge, I want to challenge people to start to question some of these images that you see on the television. You know, some of these stories you hear on the radio. You know, some of these lessons that you hear within your classrooms, you know. Start to ask people, has it always been that people of color have been looked down upon? You know, have we always been looked upon, you know, as people who have to make desperate measures in order to be respected or be looked upon as somebody who's quote-unquote successful? And if it hasn't always been that way, then what do we have to do to get back to the moment when it wasn't? You know, when people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Rosa Parks and Harriet Tubman meant something to people of color. You know, these are some of the images that I would like to see on my television screen, because these are some of the things that I feel like I can relate to. I can't relate to every single one of them, but I can relate to some of them because they people of color and they did positive things for the people within our community. You know, stop putting these negative images of black people on the television, on the radio, and thinking that it doesn't affect us as young men and young women, because it does. I'm going to leave y'all with this, man. As people of color, man, we are the sole creators of this world. I'm going to say that again. We are the sole creators of this world. You got to look inside yourself and start to believe that, man. Stop believing these lies on the television. Break that word down. Television. Television. You know, they tell you what they want you to see. Tell the vision. Come on, man. It's T. Paris, man. Peace, perspective. Toast to the 10.